I'm going to heaven on a hillside. 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 Inside is available now on Peacock. On the cock. We're inside the cock, ladies and gentlemen. It's directed by the same guy that did My Friend Larry Gus. Check out his name. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it. This stars Willem Dafoe in isolation in a penthouse apartment in New York City after an attempt to steal some art, including a piece worth $3 million, goes tits up. Basically, he has 7 minutes to get inside. Ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. Do you get it? Do you get it? And get this high-end piece of art. He finds other pieces of art, but in communicating with the team or the people or possibly disembodied voices that have put this whole thing together in his head, is he happy? Is he feeling sad? He's got sunshine in a bag. Is he useless? Oh, fuck yes, he is. And this movie keeps stretching on. Have I given an indication as to how I feel about this movie yet? Well, nevertheless, the rest of the plot, such as it is, well, the whole 7-minute window ends up kind of going kablooey, and a malfunction with the system, laying him out, basically locks him inside, and then he has to use his cunning and ingenuity and the fact that he is Willem Dafoe and always looking 70,000,000% insane every single goddamn day to avoid going, I guess, 75,000,000.1% insane? Yeah, it's basically a movie about Willem Dafoe in isolation, which was done really, really good in The Lighthouse that A24 did. And also Matt Damon in The Martian, and Tom Hanks in Castaway. Look, isolation movies or people being confined to one particular location or area can work. I watched The Astral Woods, which was a low-budget effort, but actually felt like a Twilight Zone episode and actually had things happen eventually, kinda. Inside doesn't. Willem Dafoe is a very good actor, a very, very good actor that has been great in many films for many years. He was one of the few bright spots of Speed 2 Cruise Control. Actually, you could argue he was the only good part of Speed 2 Cruise Control. That was really goddamn shit. Basically, he's in this apartment trying to figure out various ways of how to get out, try to get through the door. The door is not only soundproof, but there's metal in it. And there's also art all over the goddamn wall. He's losing his mind slowly. There's an injured pigeon outside. And he has to battle the fact that first the, system, the heating and cooling system, basically heats up to the point where he's almost going to burn to death, and then then it malfunctions and starts to cool down quite a bit. Also, there's not a lot of food in the apartment, and all this other weird stuff happens because he's losing his goddamn mind. I hated this movie. I absolutely hated it. I understand what they were trying to go for, and the idea certainly wasn't bad, but the execution was terrible. This could have easily been 30 minutes in an anthology, like an anthology series. You could have just said, here's all these stars in these movies, and it could have worked for 30 minutes, maybe 40, but my God, Willem Dafoe, as great as he is, even he could only do so much in this. I mean, Willem Dafoe has lost his goddamn mind and been off his tits in plenty of movies better than Inside. Yeah, there's some symbolism as far as art and as far as, like how far are you willing to go to escape a particular situation that you put yourself in. You just didn't have to be a goddamn criminal and put yourself in this situation. Proving that he's not necessarily the best goddamn guy because he defaces the goddamn apartment. The people are apparently off in some foreign country, never to return, possibly to return. We literally only see people, we see one particular scene a little bit later on with some actual people, but other than that, it's just Willem Dafoe observing people on the big screen TVs and the computer screens that are in the apartment of the entire complex. Apparently they own the whole goddamn complex. Who the fuck knows? Maybe they're voyeurs. I'm willing to go with that. I would have rather peeped in on something else. I would have rather watched Sliver instead. Sliver sucked. It had Sharon Stone in it, but Sliver sucked. Sliver at least used the voyeuristic idea better. Not as good as Rear Window. My God, Rear Window. What a great thing that was. But yeah, basically it's just narration mixed with him losing his mind and trying to get sustenance and doing stupid shit to advance the meager plot such as it is. Inside is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst films of the year. No wonder this movie got pulled out of theaters really goddamn quickly. Had this movie just been released to Netflix, to Hulu, to Peacock, I think it actually might have found a better life, because word of mouth wouldn't have gotten out that this movie is so goddamn terrible. Again, Willem Dafoe is a very good actor. This is not very good. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's easily one of the worst films of the year. Now, maybe I just didn't get it, because there are some critics that have said it's, pretty good, all things considered, especially to see Willem Dafoe lose his mind. But yes, when that's all you have, and this movie is if this had been maybe even 80 minutes, it might have been better. But this was stretched the fuck out to an hour and 45 goddamn minutes, with not nearly enough material to fill that. So yeah, there you go. That's all I'm going to say right there. I'm going to get into spoilers here. It's on Peacock if you want to check it out. Other than that, spoilers will not take very goddamn long. So, yeah, that's your warning right there. Watch Willem Dafoe lose his mind for a bit and then get annoyed that the movie keeps going. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so he talks about, what 3 things he would save in case of a house fire: his cat, his sketchbook, and his AC/DC album. Well, he lent out his AC/DC album, his cat died, and he still has a sketchbook. Cats die, music fades, but art is for keeps. If only they could have kept a sliver of interest, if you'll see what I did there. Yeah, basically the system malfunctions when he's trying to break in, or trying to go through and get this high-end piece of art, when he could just literally taken a bunch of pieces of art that he already had and probably, maybe not made $3 million, but 1, he wouldn't have been locked in. 2, they probably would have made at least some money doing that, and they could have tried somewhere else, literally anywhere else, to do this, and can't get a hold of the people because they faded away, seemingly being assumed into heaven, like Poochie. And then he kind of forms a crazy relationship with the housekeeper, Jasmine. I don't know the actress's name, but feature her in more stuff. She looked good. So there is also an injured pigeon that is slowly just fading because it's injured, and then it ends up dying, which is an indication of probably what's going to happen to him. That's why he's panicking. He tries to build a weird scaffolding thing to get up to this particular part to unscrew all these deals and get out through this weird skylight that looks like a tunnel. It actually kind of reminded me of a mini version of The Chute from a Netflix original about, the platform. That's what I was trying to think of. That was a good movie. Watch The Platform instead if you want to talk about isolation. He defaces the art. He does a whole bunch of weird stuff. There's hidden messages along the walls and stuff like that because it's almost like a tomb. It feels like a tomb to him. And then the pigeon dies. He ends up trying to do his best to stave off hunger and, dehydration. There's some fluid in the fridge. Also, if you leave the fridge open for too long, it plays Macarena, and eventually you get to hear Willem Dafoe sing Macarena for a bit, if that's something you're into. And then a little bit later on, after defacing the walls and defacing all this stuff and defacing pictures and finding this weird, mannequin dummy type, form of, I assume, either the apartment's owner or possibly an old German doctor, maybe that was doing experiments. And that would explain why maybe this weird thing's going. I don't know. I'm just coming up with weird stuff because the movie is very basic, but I'm just trying to come up with other scenarios, anything better than Inside provided. And then a little bit later, he falls off of the partition or the scaffolding that he built and injures his leg. And he's all running around. He starts a fire because he didn't start the fire. Oh, wait, yes, he did. I just said he did. He starts the sprinkler system. Then the apartment floods slightly. And then he starts singing, "I'm going to heaven on a hillside." Then he somehow manages to climb out. Just climb out fine. Or maybe he died, and that was just symbolic of him climbing into heaven, thinking he's going to get there, if you believe in that sort of thing. Do I care? No, I don't fucking goddamn care. Willem Dafoe loses his mind, and that's it. And he is not enough to save this movie from getting an F. Inside is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.